he walked in, and I think he was the two-time defending champion, and he kind of looked around. He's like, "So who's coming in second?"
All right, everyone snort your lines, get amped. Let's go. It's time to do some trash talk, baby.
Woo!
Not exactly experts, back for another episode. We're pumped, we're jacked, we're ready. We're talking about trash talking. So myself, Fur, Rusty, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you all for watching. We really do appreciate your repeat business. It makes Rusty feel good when he sees that we are getting more views, that we're getting more listeners. So tell your friends about us. Speaking of friends, we've actually dished out some koozies. We have some new koozies. We have 2 new winners. Some of our friends of the podcast. Everyone that listens is a friend. But Rusty, run us through who won.
For sure. So yeah, we did that contest. If you guys didn't see, it was all over Facebook. I posted it about 4 times, but you could get into the contest from liking and sharing the post, commenting on YouTube, leaving a review, which I think John did everything. So appreciate that, buddy. And because he did everything, guess what? More tickets in the drawing. He won. So Big John, our top fan, won a koozie. So congrats, John. Definitely take that thing everywhere. Drink some beer, drinks whatever you want to drink. Show people the Not Exactly Experts brand. We appreciate it. Our other winner was Sheena Brogan out of Atwood, Kansas. So thank you again for liking and sharing the post, and we will get that koozie out to you shortly. But thank you to everybody that did participate. We appreciate it.
So we're talking about this, right? When does something cross the line, right? Should something be allowed? Trash talking.
Yeah.
What's the first
trash
question?
talking.
Should it be allowed?
So let's talk trash talking. Should you be able to do it? Should you do it? Does it even do anything? And when does it cross the line, or does it actually cross the line?
I think one of the first questions I want to go around robin real quick is, does it do anything? Let's start with that. Like, does it matter? What do you think?
To the fans, no. I would think that fans would love to hear it.
Oh, absolutely.
I would love.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Could you imagine that? Okay, on CBS you can watch the game, or for CBS Plus, you could actually now listen to every player is wired up. They have the mics pointed in the right direction. You can hear every word you say.
That would not be good for the kids.
Absolutely not. People would pay for CBS Plus, and it would be terrible. It would be awful. Yeah, I would love it.
And that might be what we get this year because there's no fans. There's not going to be much noise on the field for NFL. Like, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but you're going to hear more than you normally would. No doubt.
Yeah, 100%. And they do it a little bit, right? You have a mic'd up every now and then, and it is so intriguing to hear what some of those guys are saying. And they edit out a lot of it. But man, to be able to hear some of the trash talk that goes on from some of the notoriously famous trash talkers would be incredibly entertaining and also very hilarious.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think that's what NASCAR has above everybody but they let you in the experience, because if you're at it's same thing on TV, but even when you're at a NASCAR race, you can listen in and hear the crew chief and the race driver having conversations during the race, and people love that and eat it up. So I totally agree. People would freaking pay for that. I would. Sign me up. I don't care how much it costs. I'm going to pay for it. But back to the question, does it do anything? Is it effective? I absolutely think it can be effective. I think what people are trying to do when they talk trash is get in people's heads. I want to live in your head rent-free for 60 minutes, 2 hours, whatever the game is, and make sure that you're not even thinking about basketball or football. You're just thinking about the next thing I'm going to freaking say to you. That is what players want to do. Does it cross the line? Absolutely, right? But I think there's a place for it. There's a reason people do it. I think some of it's ego, but I think a lot of it is they want to get in people's heads.
So I looked this up, actually. And research actually shows my assumption was the same as yours, Rusty. Like getting into people's heads, people do it to put other people down, to be superior, to totally mess with their minds. Research actually shows it's a little bit of the opposite. It does do just that. It distracts, right? It's distracting. It makes people feel angry, and ashamed. But that anger piece is what most people turn into like motivation, right? Especially if you're doing a sport that requires explosive energy, like running. Anger can be good. It gives you that little boost of energy, and it makes you want. Man, just think about it. Like when someone trash talks you, you want nothing more in the world than to prove them wrong and beat them.
If
And
you're
that
like if you're Michael Jordan, absolutely. Like if you watched Last Dance, like he went over so many times where somebody said something to him or did something to him and he says, "Oh, now it was personal for me." Absolutely. It can completely backfire on you. You have to know who you can trash talk and who you can't. Like you can't trash talk the great ones. Which brings up another thing I had written down to talk about. You cannot talk trash if you suck. Like if you are not a good player, shut the hell up because
I
it
agree.
falls flat. So stupid. But yes, I can see that. There's probably tons of instances where it'll completely backfire, and if you talk crap to the wrong person, they'll come after you in a bad way.
What is more entertaining to you? Having a player maybe a week before the game say, "Hey, this is what we're going to do to them." It was like, I'm the best. And he puts up, he's like 10 catches, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, or vice versa. It's like, they're not going to stop us. And let's just say it's like a cornerback, strong safety, and he gets burned for 3 TDs and 200 yards by a one wide receiver that he has to cover. Which one do you enjoy more?
I love when it backfires on them when
Oh,
they
yeah.
talk trash and then they fall completely on their face because then you're just like, that serves you right. You should have shut your freaking mouth.
But you notice you
Go
said
ahead.
backfires on them, right? If it backfires on us, right, or your team, it's obviously no fun at all. But I do agree when someone is boastful like that and overly confident, there is an amount of pleasure that I certainly get to see them fail, right? And it's that same thing. It's you're proving them wrong, and I think that's natural in us to want to
It
prove.
it also depends on like the personality because there's people like Chad Ochocinco. I know for one know him very well, but very popular player in the NFL. He talked trash, but it was in like a friendly, like you didn't think he was being mean. It was just Chad's a freaking hilarious guy, and he had a wonderful personality that he let everybody know that he thought he was great. But it wasn't like in a "you suck" type. It was just like, "Hey, I'm the best out there." Like, so I think it kind of depends too on how you're perceived. Like, are you trying to demean other people, or are you just trying to be fun and flamboyant and I don't know,
Yeah.
get a lot of likes and stuff on Facebook? I don't know.
Now, as I mentioned, I did say that I loved it when I think it was more entertaining when someone would say, "Oh, I'm going to do this," and it ultimately backfires. I'm going to have to go back on that. I'm going to have to say I love it more, and I think it's so impressive if someone who can trash talk and then backs it up and then backs it up again. One of them, and I had to look it up real quick, and one of my favorite stories of all time is Larry Bird. Larry Bird,
Yeah.
when he was in the 3-point contest, and he walked in, and I think he was the 2-time defending champion, and he kind of looked around. He's like, "So who's coming in second?" And so everyone's just like, "Oh yeah, whatever." Larry Bird didn't get out of his warm-ups. He stayed in his warm-ups, went out to the 3-point contest, and won it for the third year in a row. I mean, that is, and there are stories of he would go to different arenas and he's like, "Hey, so what's the scoring record here?" And then he would then break whatever record was at the arena at the time. And it's just, it, it's it's so amazing that I find that people that can smack talk, they know they're good and yet still feel the need to be like, I'm gonna talk trash to you just so you know how good I am, that I can talk the talk and walk the walk. I think that is way. I'm changing my stance. I think that is way more impressive and way more entertaining and fun to see. It's like, wow, he is really that good. That he
It's
said
impressive.
this and then did it then the next day.
Impressive, but it's not as satisfying. I guess just in me, when somebody talks trash, I just want to, again, I think it's just innate. Like, I want to root for the good guy. And when you're talking trash, you're not necessarily the good guy. I'm just like, I hope it doesn't happen. But I had another Larry Bird story real quick that I had saw, because he was one of the best, Larry Legend, talking trash. The story I saw, I don't remember the exact person, but it was before a Christmas Day game. He told this guy, I got a Christmas gift for you. And then, like, middle of the game, he dribbles up right where this guy was. He was sitting on the bench. He dribbles up where he is, right beyond the three-point line, shoots the three, and turns around before even seeing it goes in and says, "Merry effing Christmas." And then, of course, it goes in, swish. So just a fun story. Like, he just talked trash and got away with it, like you said, because he could back it up every time. Mm-hmm. He was fun.
Jarrett, to kind of flip the coin though, right? Because you go back and forth like a grandfather clock.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Back and forth.
You say now that you like it when someone backs up their talk, but right. Let me remind you, for all the people in the state of Kansas, there was some trash talk that happened back in 2008 by a guy named Michael Beasley, who was quoted of saying, "We're going to beat Kansas at home. We're going to beat them at their house. We're going to beat them in Africa. Whenever we play, we're going to beat them." Now, he was right. They did actually. K-State did win in Manhattan, but Kansas,
for the first time in 29 years.
Kansas,
by the way, I want to point that out.
Kansas ended up winning in Lawrence, and then of course 2008 was a nice year for KU basketball as well because of the national title. So that would be, I would say, a reverse of what you said you liked the most. I'm guessing that is also personal. Rewarding to hear that he was wrong.
It's different.
Yeah, when it's your team. Yeah, when it's your team, it's different. When your team can shut up that person, I think it is satisfying. It's extremely satisfying. I'm not going to deny that. It was so amazing to just shut that guy up. I'm like, oh my gosh, another classic moment. Got to bring it up. It was the NBA Finals, Bulls and Jazz, and Karl Malone was saying how they're going to, we're going to beat them. We're going to beat them in on Utah on Sunday, and then we're gonna go back to Chicago and take the championship. And then Scottie Pippen's retort was, "The mailman doesn't deliver on Sundays." That is the best line of all time, and that's what happened. The Utah Jazz lost on that Sunday because Karl Malone turned it over and MJ hit that last second buzzer, and it's great, and it's just so witty. I love wittiness, and if you have great comebacks like that, it just makes it even more sweeter.
So I'm getting before a game. Sorry, before we get into that, trash talking before a game, dude, is completely different to me because it's like all bulletin board material, like you just said. Like Karl Malone saying they're going to beat him. They go back to practice and they're all talking about it. And they're like, "There's no freaking way we're letting the Utah Jazz and Karl Malone do this." And then they go back into the press and say something. Like, that is always so interesting to me. It's different when it's like game day on the court talking trash. Like, that's where it gets almost like violent and whatever slurs get thrown out. I really enjoy the trash talk before games.
So Rusty, to your point, I think that the trash talk, and based on what research says, like, is what makes rivalry games what they are, right? Yep. Like, year after year, season after season, regardless of what sport, right? There's the certain rivalry teams, right? And they can be as unequal and unbalanced of a skill level as possible. But when those two teams play each other, it's like everything's out on the floor. You've had the trash talking going back and forth. Both teams want to win so bad. And I think that just makes those rivalry games what they are.
Yeah. I think some of my favorite trash talk, this might be a little off subject, but from your question, is not necessarily talking. Sometimes it's literally signs and stuff that they do. Like, I love Tyreek Hill's deuces when he gets behind the defense and he just throws up the deuces like, "See you later." Like, to me, it's not offensive. He's just having fun. Some people might take it the wrong way. I always think of Reggie Miller doing the choking sign to Spike Lee after he dominated him in the fourth quarter.
And
just
that's
things
a
like that.
perfect example of trash talking going wrong. Spike Lee was trash talking the whole game,
Yeah.
right, to Reggie Miller, and then he comes back and a lot of people know the story. Scores what 9 points in 12 seconds or something like that.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Sure. But it
So-
happens in all sports now, though, because like freaking NBA, anytime somebody hits a three, and sometimes even if it can be a big dunk, I don't know, they're doing something like Steph Curry behind there doing one of these deals after he hits a three. Like that's essentially trash talking.
It's true.
In the NFL,
Yeah.
somebody gets a sack or they score a touchdown and they're dancing in the end zone. You're essentially talking trash through your emotions.
Yeah.
But I like it.
Yeah.
You're being expressive.
But the one smack talk, or the one thing that I still think needs to be brought up, is something, Rusty, that you told Fur. It's about a year ago.
What
I
did
think
I
we
tell
should bring
him?
this up. I think we should. This is. I don't know if it's a bit of smack talk. Is a pretty confident statement.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
I don't even remember what I said.
Go ahead, Fur. I think this is very interesting.
Well, we're gonna have to play the video for our listeners and viewers.
There's a
But
video.
there is a video.
There's video proof.
F word. I know what this is. Go ahead and tell me.
Say it.
If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, you can shave my head.
Yes.
I said if the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, I'd shave my head.
You did say that.
Yeah.
That's what it was, right?
So about that.
I'm completely fine with shaving my head. Let's do it.
It's not that bad, man.
It was
Let's do
literally
this.
about a week later. It was a week after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. It hit me. I was literally just like, I think sitting at work or something. I was like, oh crap. I told Fur I would shave my head. I was like, do I bring it up? Do I not? I was like, I'm just going to see if he forgot. And I was like,
No.
I'm pretty sure he videotaped it. I can't believe I hadn't seen that yet.
He sent me that video. He's like, make sure you remind me to bring this up to Rusty next time. And so we've never had
brought it up yet.
And so we never had that opportunity to. And then now this is like a perfect opportunity to. And I think it's something that you could definitely, let's show off your video editing skills. Make this a real epic celebration of your head shaving and involve
It's gonna be
it. Just embrace the baldness.
Let's close out our topic.
Okay.
Does trash talking belong in sports? And is there ever a point that it crosses the line? If so,
Oh man.
I would definitely say yes, it belongs in sports. Like you said, it's the entertainment factor, especially when it happens before games, in rivalries. It makes the anticipation for that next game like huge. People want to tune in to see what's going to happen. Are they going to back it up? Are they not? I love the trash talking before games. Same thing, like you said, the wittiness, the stuff that can make a really great headline is great. It's so entertaining. The trash talking in games where it like leads to fist fight and any type of physical confrontation. I think sometimes when it gets too far, if there's like racial slurs, or I don't even care if it's a mama joke, but anything that can really get too far, just with, I guess, any of that. I don't want to get into the actual names of stuff, but yeah, I think there is a certain line that you can cross where it's just like, man, that wasn't fun. Like, it's supposed to be a kind of a fun thing that you do, not necessarily like wanting to really talk people down, I guess.
And this is where I know in the podcast we're not supposed to agree, because there's not much fun behind it. So someone has to take the opposite side, and I'm going to try to take the opposite side. I'm going to say there's no room for sports for trash talking. Now, this is what I would do if I were to take it out of sports, because you see it a lot in football and basketball. I think those two main sports, you do see a lot more trash talking before game, mid game, during game, after game. You do see a lot of that. One sport which I wish people would embrace more, and you don't hear a lot about trash talking, it's hockey. because I think there's so much movement and you're constantly going back and forth. And it's just like it starts off as a nudge and then like a little harder nudge and then a little harder nudge. And then finally, there's no verbal communication. It's like you guys lock eyes, shake your head, take off the gloves, and the game stops. And the refs circulate up. I was like, okay, settle it. Settle it right here. And so I wish it would be so difficult to do.
Every freaking sport you could fight?
I think if you eliminate trash talk, it's like you are not allowed to talk. But if you do this, if you just like me, all right, and you start taking off the gloves, you take off the helmet, and you start circle around. I think that would eliminate a lot of trash talk because you would eliminate a lot of the guys who couldn't back it up. Because it's like, what do they say? That's a 10-cent mouth that that's not going to cash a $100 check, So I think that would eliminate a lot of the unnecessary trash talk to guys who can't. It's like, oh my gosh, I wish someone would just shut him up and just punch him. Here's your opportunity. Take off the gloves, go at him. You got, first person that's out. Now obviously in football, you're probably going to be thrown out of the game. Okay, we can't suspend you for a quarter. We can't suspend you for 5 minutes. You're probably going to be done after this. So you better think long and hard about if this is something that you want to do. So, and you probably see a lot more guys in the NFL become like enforcers. NBA, man, I don't know. I mean, I think there's a time and place for it, but I just don't. I don't know. If I can't hear it, I don't want it.
Sounds like you like violence, though. You're just like, quit talking. Let's just get after it. Let's hit each other, and whoever's standing at the end, then you win. It sounds like boxing. I think you're just a fan of boxing. Also has some of the best trash talk. We haven't even talked about it.
I know. There's so many great trash talk. We didn't talk about Muhammad Ali and
Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah,
with boxing, there's such a buildup. Like you're talking months upon months before they actually fight the people that they're scheduled to fight. So there is always trash talk back and forth. Like literally, I think I remember our fellow friend Mike Tyson saying something about eating somebody's children. Pretty sure that happened.
I think he did. I think after the fight, he actually took his kids and ate them. So because Mike Tyson backs up his trash talk.
We've talked about it a lot in sports, right? But there's also trash talk that goes on in business. And the one thing that, I mean, you see commercials and jabs that, maybe Ford will do at Chevy, right? Most recently, the whole tailgate thing that Chevy has used for their new Silverados, right?
Dude, Wendy's.
Wendy's. Have you guys seen
oh my gosh.
the Wendy's Twitter account? Basically the king of fast food trash talk.
Whoever runs their promotional stuff is fire. Like everything they tweet at people in other companies is hilarious. Like it is great, and it's all in good fun. Like it's not like mean, like really mean, but it's hilarious. They do a great job.
Makes it fun, Rusty. It's not. I mean, it's clever, it's witty, and it's all in good fun. And that Twitter account is one of the most impressive business Twitter accounts or business trash talk I've ever seen.
You know what's weird to me? I felt like growing up when we were younger, you couldn't do that. Like if you put out a commercial, you couldn't go and attack your competitor. You had to say like the other guys don't do it as good as we do. Like now there's no rules, it seems like. Like you can go after any other company. You can go on a commercial and Burger King can say McDonald's serves shit burgers and nobody cares. Let's say that. It's just fine now. I don't know when that changed.
Oh, we need to close out. This is going downhill fast.
Yeah, it is.
So before we close out, let's real talk. We're just quick 90 seconds. We're into NFL season. Talk to me, guys. You two are my NFL experts. I know nothing. I can barely spell it. Tell me what it's going to be like this season to have minimal fans or no fans at all. And do you think we're going to make it through the whole season? Go.
No.
Go ahead.
I think there's going to be games canceled because of positive cases. I know Texas is one of the few stadiums that is going to allow fans They haven't said how many they're going to allow in, but I think Texas is going to allow fans. But I think they're going to test the players all the time. We're going to miss some games. There's going to be games that are going to be canceled because of positive cases. This season, as much as I'm looking forward to it, is going to be weird because of the fans. And at the end of the season, I feel like no matter who wins it, there's going to be an asterisk. There's always
So
going to
you're
be
saying
that
we're going to make it to the end?
we'll make it to the end. I think
Okay.
we're going to miss games. There's going to be games that are going to have to be canceled because the Major League Baseball had to do it because of positive cases. We're
I
not
don't
going to play.
think you can't cancel games. They
It's going to
will
happen.
get scrub players. No, dude, they'll grab players off the other people's practice squads. Like they will fill a freaking team. You can't go back and play these games. There has to be 16 games played to determine a playoff. It's either we get to where we cancel the season or there will have to be games played. You can't cancel them.
All right.
We'll see.
We
We will
will
see,
see.
man.
I hope we
But
can make it.
I definitely think they're going to be a full season. I think it'll be weird without full fans. Like, I'm super excited to see the Chiefs play on Thursday, but I would never pay a ticket that's like right now $500, $600 to go at 20% capacity, like 15,000 fans maybe in the stands. What is that? Like, you don't go just to see the game. You can see the game way better on TV. You go for the experience, which is yelling with 60,000 of your greatest buddies that you don't even know, but they're all cheering for the same thing and they're doing the chant and you're screaming your head off. Like, that is what you go for. It's weird to me that people still want to go. I think it's gonna be super weird, but I think if there's a plus to it, like we talked about earlier, I think you're gonna hear things. I think the NFL might open things up a little bit and let us hear things that they normally don't. I think they might give us just a little bit different experience, or maybe just try different things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
It'll
what
be
I'm
interesting
hopeful.
to see. So I think the country needs it. So hopefully we can get through a full season and have sports which are so entrenched in American culture. So
Hate it or love
here,
it, it's what it is.
here's to hopefully a successful season. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it.
Oh
And
no,
on
it's right.
that, we are closing out. Not exactly experts. Catch you next time.
Deuces.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. Let's see if all that trash talking starts when it's 0-0 instead of 5-6 point lead. That's where it starts. That's the sign of a good man. If you can talk shit when it's even score, or talk shit when you're behind score. When you're ahead, it's easy to talk.